Okay, we're on. Tell me what happened.
I'm on home confinement for bond, and I'm staying here with Patty. And
Now, wait a minute. Explain the bond part. What does that mean?
I'm on bond for my charges through circuit court. Judge Pomponio put me on home confinement.
Okay.
And Sheriff Janice and Chris Cole showed up yesterday, said they wanted to do a search of the house, I guess for...
Now, they allowed to do that?
I guess for home confinement.
Yeah, I guess they do it for home confinement.
I always thought Robin and Corey did it, but I don't know.
Well, of course, they would have had a female with them, right?
Well, Corey cut him about 20 minutes later. She wasn't here with him.
You mean initially when they searched your place?
It was just Janice and Chris Cole.
That's weird, Kelly. I don't understand what they're trying to pull, especially we've had so much problem with the cops molesting women.
Well,
why they would even think about coming to a place without a woman there.
Right. They didn't. Corey come about 20. It may not have been 20 minutes, but they had time to search for probably, I'd say it was a good 15, 20 minutes.
Did they say what they were searching for?
No, they just asked if, said they wanted to search. And I told him that Robin had been here on Monday and searched when she hooked up my home confinement.
So you just got started on home confinement?
Yeah, I started on Monday.
Let's see, this is Saturday, and so when did this search occur?
Yesterday, on Friday.
Yesterday, okay.
Yesterday evening. And Janice was searching the kitchen, and I was sitting on the couch with Tommy, and Chris Cole went in the bedroom. And Sheriff asked me, he said, so how's your kids? And I said...
Well, why does he keep bringing this kid thing up?
I don't know.
Is he still trying to use your kids as a sort of a bargaining tool?
Well, we kind of got into that next after that. But he said, so how's your kids? And I said, I don't know. I don't get to talk to them or see them. And he said, I do every day, and they're fine. And I said, well, I'm glad you do, because I don't get to see them.
Why would he be saying... how old are these children?
17, 13, and 11.
And this is boys or girls?
2 girls and a boy.
So he's seeing 2 of the girls every day?
That's what he said. I get to see them every day, and they're fine.
Well, he said that he would. That's real bizarre. Why would the sheriff be seeing these 2 girls every day?
Yeah. Well, they live up in the upper end, so maybe he just runs into them out in.
Just happens to run into them every day.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. And I said, well, I'm glad you do, because I don't get to see them. And he said, well, you've got some pretty good kids. And I said, yeah, I do. They're really great. And he said, I don't remember. He said something about Caitlin being a really good girl. That was the 17-year-old. And I said, I don't know what you did to Courtney, but she thinks you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, which is my 13-year-old. And she does. She thinks the world of him. And I've never once tried to tell her anything about him. I never say anything. That's her opinion, and she likes him. And he said, I haven't done nothing to her. And I said, well, she thinks you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And he said, maybe it's because I'm honest with him.
Maybe it's because he sees her every day.
Yeah.
By his own mouth, he's saying he's seeing her every day.
Yeah.
I think there's something suspicious there. I really do.
And then he said that he had seen Bub, which is Kyle, play basketball and stuff, and he just kind of veered off that subject. And Chris had called me in the bedroom to ask me where I sleep at and whose stuff that was in the bedroom and everything. And the sheriff was in the bathroom, and as I walked out, he said, are you clean? And I said, yes, I am. And he just looked at me, and I said, I am. And I said, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I take full responsibility for every one of them. And he said, no, you don't. You blame me for them. And I said, no, I don't. And he said, yes, you do. You blame me all the time for all your problems. And I said, David, I have never blamed you for my problems. I take full responsibility for everything that I've done.
It sounds like he's got a guilty conscience, doesn't it?
And he said, what? Yeah, you do. He said, I've read your statements and listened to your interviews, and he said, your buddy Norman tells me every day how I ruined your life. And I said, I have never.
Oh, wait a minute, he's lying. It can't be. I, Norman Alderman, say he won't even speak to me, Kelly.
No, he said that you tell him every day how I say he ruined my life.
This man doesn't understand how long a day is, does he?
Evidently not.
I was at the graduation ceremony, and he looked me straight down and never spoke to me.
Maybe he means your website tells him every day how he ruins my life.
Well, I can assure you that whatever I get, in fact, Kelly, the stuff I've been doing for you, I've been asked by, I can't say who, but I've been asked by investigators to send them copies. I've made as high as 5 DVDs, and they'll get a copy of this too.
Okay. Yeah, I've been trying to get a hold of, I've called both lawyers and left messages after he left yesterday. I don't think he should be allowed to have anything to do with me.
Absolutely not.
I understand if home confinement needs officers to search, they should have to bring in state police. I don't think the sheriff's department should have anything to do with me.
No, especially when we've got these things against Totten.
Right.
And there's another one of his officers now is, well, he's probably watching what I've been talking about on Larry Taylor on the internet. See, I've been reading the transcript on Alcar, and it was unbelievable how dooless and how unprofessional Alcar was.
Right.
And then to think that David Janice has been doing the same stuff.
Yeah, and
Covering up
he said something when he was in the bathroom about when he was talking about me blaming him for ruining my life. He said, you told him that I was trying to bargain with your kids. And I said, you were.
Yeah.
I said, you told me.
That's right.
You specifically told me that if I gave you something illegal on Janet and Donna, he said, and he broke in and said, I told you I would put in a good word. I said, no, you said you would go upstairs to Pomponio and you would save my kids. And he said, do you know why I did that? And
so he admitted it.
And I said, because you wanted to help me? And he said, no, because I figured when you come to see me, you had an agenda. And I said, I did have a damn agenda. It was to save my kids.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I just figured you had an agenda. And said something about Bill. I don't even know what he said. And I said, I'm not going to speak to you about Bill. That's not my problem. He's not my problem. If you have a problem with him, you need to take that up with him. And he said, well, I don't have to take anything up with him. He's gone away for a long time. He can take something up with whoever the sheriff is in the next 20 years. And I said, that's between you two, not me. And then I just turned around and walked away from him. And then he left. He had no business being in there. He didn't even search anything. He stood in the kitchen and run his mouth about my kids and then in the bathroom. He never looked through anything,
and about
never
Norman.
done anything. And about you, yes.
Yeah. You know, I'm starting to take it kind of personal.
Well, he
It's
said,
starting to get under my skin to think that the sheriff, who I supported at one time, and I apologize to everybody in this county for having supported him. I made a big mistake, and I admit it, and I'm man enough to admit it.
Absolutely.
He is a worse mess than we've ever had.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you something else. The reason I'm here this evening is to give him an opportunity to have to answer in the future to the investigators, because I think he's guilty, just like that Monsignor, that Catholic priest that covered up. He covered up for Totten. Norman Alderman, personally went to him 3 months after he took office and told him what he did to Darla Plyland. And do you know what? I haven't mentioned this to anybody of late. But do you know, about a week later, he called me to come in, and he had Totten there. And he had Totten trying to explain that it was really just a drug bust. We know about that drug bust, don't we?
Absolutely.
The point I get is, don't pee on my shoes and tell me it's raining.
No.
Because that's what he's doing, and he's a liar.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen or heard anything from him since that last interview I gave, and cost me my kids. I can't even see or talk to him.
So he did actually retaliate against you with your children.
Well, I can't ever prove it. It was right after I gave the interview with you. You can look at the date.
We've got that. The investigators have the interview.
The one where he told me if I
He'll
gave
be
him
answering
Donna,
for that in court under oath.
If I gave him Donna and Janet, he would go upstairs to Pomponio and save my kids.
Right after that. At the time, you were a federal witness.
Absolutely. I still am.
Yeah, you're still a federal witness.
Against
He's trying
Brad
to
Totten.
Intimidate you.
Yes. After I gave that interview with you, I seen him at Green Bank. I was on a visit with the kids. We had our CPS worker with us. We were eating dinner at Henry's, and he came in. My kids, mostly Courtney, waved and spoke to him because she loves him. I never once said anything about the interview I had gave. Never tried to.
How old did you say Courtney was?
13.
Wow, 13. Yeah. What that magic number 13? This sheriff's department likes 13-year-olds, don't they?
Yeah. Well, Courtney Lynn thinks he's great. I mean, she just loves him to death. And I'm fine with that. I have never once tried to influence how my kids feel about anybody. They'll make their own mind up
But see,
sooner or later.
I got word just the other day that one of his officers was told around there were 3 13-year-olds involved.
Really?
Not just one. Now, we have the story of that one officer who was involved with a 13-year-old and got her pregnant. But now we're talking about more 13-year-olds. That's going to come out. I'm working hard on it.
Well, but right after that, that was on a Thursday. I'd done my visits with the kids on Thursday. And like I said, Courtney waved and spoke to him. Nothing was even said. The CPS worker never left us. She sat right there. And then Friday, the next day, Peggy Stahl, who has my kids, had called me and said that I could not have contact with the kids by order of Davina. She said that interview I had gave to you the week before was detrimental to my kids because they go to school with the sheriff's kids. And I said, I never said anything about the sheriff's kids. I don't even know his kids. And would never say anything about anybody's kids.
Right.
And she said, Kelly, I don't know. I'm just giving orders.
So they're trying to put the squeeze on Norman Alderman with this deal. That's why it's getting to be personal with me.
That's when I called you and asked you to pull the interview off the internet.
And I did.
Yeah, and you did. And then it took them over a month.
What they didn't know was we had done another interview. Now the investigators have that.
They have both of them?
That's right. Both of them are not. They don't know what on that other video.
No, because we never released it.
Because you asked me.
Not to do anything.
That's right. And so we'll wait and see what kind of reaction that Mr. Janice's lawyer has with that one.
Yeah. And it took them a little over a month, maybe close to 2, and I can't remember exactly how long. But they finally, I went to an MDT meeting and asked Davina to allow me to have contact back with them. She's never let me see them since then. But she had gotten back to where she was letting them call me once a week, but now they won't. They're not letting them call me at all.
So they're trying to retaliate against you.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that really busts me about Janice, that he would actually use a woman's kids against her.
Yeah. Well, he knows that was the only way he could get to me.
Right.
I mean, because I have nothing else for him to take from me.
Right.
I've done lost everything else, and contact with my kids was the only thing that I had left.
And he thought he could just dick her around with that and make a deal, you know.
Yep.
Well, then they searched the place. They didn't find anything.
No.
Of course, they didn't have a search warrant, but I'm not sure they had to have a search warrant.
I think
under
I know
home confinement, you probably had to waive your rights to that.
We had to agree to let them search anytime they want to on home confinement.
Main thing is people need to understand that, because see, I'm talking with other people who have been on home confinement, and it's pretty bad what they're doing, and they may not know that they're giving up their rights.
Well, the paper, I remember reading the paper and signing it, and it says that you consent to search anytime.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but they need to bring a state police and not the sheriff's department.
Yeah, right. You're not complaining about the search. You're complaining about the fact.
And then Corey showed up, and I took my drug test with no problem. She was here long enough to drug test me, and that was it. She came in. Corey does her job. I don't have no complaints with her. I think that, like I said, I think they should bring somebody other than the sheriff's department. With my history with the sheriff's department,
Absolutely.
I don't think it's fair.
No, because you are a potential witness in a federal case with federal authorities. And because of that, Janice needs to back up. Now, here's what he's pulling. You see, he'll act like he's isolated from it, you know.
No, he's not.
He's not isolated from it. He's been in the background.
He brought those investigators in from Raleigh County, and he said something about them yesterday, about me talking to him. I don't know what he said, though. I can't remember what he even said, because that was when he was blaming me, saying I blamed him for ruining my life. So I was fired up and wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to him. So.
Hello.
Oh, good luck.
Okay, so they left out of here.
They stood out here on the sidewalk for a long time and talked. Sonny Sheplin was with them. Now, what's he got to do with anything?
Now, wait a minute. Who's Sonny Sheplin?
I don't know how to explain to you who he is.
Is that an older man?
Yeah, he used to have something to do with the state police, but he stayed out here. But
he's on the Civil Service Board.
Okay, he never came inside. He stood out here on the sidewalk while they searched. And I looked out the bedroom window when they were done, and
he's supposed to be overseeing things. He's not supposed to be going on searches for people.
Well, I mean, he never came in the house, but he was here.
And you saw him?
Yeah, I looked out the bedroom window, and he was standing down here on the sidewalk talking to Janice. And Janice was playing with his phone, but I couldn't
Yeah,
tell
I know
what was
he's
going
supposed to be a private investigator.
on. Oh, well.
But he's also on the Civil Service Board. He's the one that was involved in the hiring of Chris Cole, who turned out to be a thief.
Oh, yes. Yeah, now Chris...
Who happened to be, incidentally, this same Chris Cole, who was stealing radios in Kentucky, was in your place. He could have been stealing stuff here. Maybe he needed a radio, Kelly.
You know, and I have to say, I've never had any dealings with Chris, but he never said anything out of the way to me. He searched in the bedroom, and he asked me 2 or 3 times, where do you sleep? And I said, in here with Patty.
I mean, how many bedrooms is this?
1
thing?
bedroom.
And he couldn't figure that out?
Yeah, I mean, and he said, where do you sleep? And I said, in there with Patty.
In the bed?
In the bed. And where do you sleep? And I said, in here with Patty.
Gosh.
And
Barney Fife, if there ever was
then
one.
he asked me, when I come out of the bathroom from taking a drug test with Corey, he said, Kelly, what kind of medicine do you take? And I said, I'm not on anything. You don't take anything. And I said, no, I don't. Nothing at all. And I said, no, I don't. I don't know how many times I need to answer that. I don't take anything. And he said, all right. And he turned around and left.
Well, that's what the drug test is supposed to be about.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I just got charged $30 for yesterday.
Right. He paid for it, so why doesn't he let Corey determine what kind of drugs you're taking?
I don't know why he kept asking me that. I don't know if he thought it was going to change 4 times later.
Well, a man walks into the bedroom. A man comes into an apartment that has 1 bedroom and can't figure out where you sleep. You know, I don't think he's got it all up there. I think he's about 1 sandwich short of a picnic.
Yep. They were questioning Tommy about some stuff that had nothing to do with her. Shouldn't have even asked her. She was just here.
She was just visiting as your
she's not
guest.
on home confinement. She's not on anything. They were really giving her a hard time, too. Chris had asked her some questions.
Were they asking her questions?
Yeah.
Why would they be asking her questions?
I don't know. She told him she didn't think it was any of her business, and Chris said,
It isn't.
You can either answer me and tell me the truth, or I'll take you to jail. And she said, well, all right. So she answered.
He told her he would take her to jail?
Yes, he did. And I won't
What crime
say
had
what
she
the
committed?
questions. Nothing. She's not on anything.
She
She's not on
owed
bond.
him no
She's
answers.
not on home confinement. She's not on anything.
In fact, she would have been advised not to answer him any questions.
Absolutely.
But he threatened to take her to jail.
Yes, he told her that she could answer. She said when he asked the question, and I won't say if she wants to say what questions he asked, she can
Right,
tell
don't
you,
worry
but
about that.
I won't. And she said, I don't think that's any of your business. And he said, well, you can either answer me and tell me the truth, or I can take you to jail. And she's like, all right, fine. And so she answered it. And it was just a
I
question
wish
about
she
her
would have
personally.
just stubbed up and said, well, go ahead, take me to jail. Find out what kind of reason he'd have to take her to jail.
Yeah.
But you know, if a gal do that,
Yeah.
you see, I've got a motion against him in my case. I've got a motion against him for moral turpitude. You know what that means? It's a code for being a dirtbag.
Well.
And dirtbags are people who steal from other people. And you had a person with moral turpitude in your apartment. I hope you kept your eyes on. Did he leave with empty hands?
I don't know. I didn't see him leave. The sheriff, Corey and them had me detained when he walked out the door the first time. And then he come back in, and that's when he...
So you don't know for certain he didn't take a radio?
I guess it's always possible.
Well, that was what he was stealing in Kentucky, was radios.
Well, I don't think
Well,
we
no,
had
he
any.
likes knives. I forgot, he likes knives.
Well, I don't think we had any of those that he could have stole, but...
Well, always, whenever Chris Cole comes to search your place, you want to always make sure that there's no knives missing, no radios.
So I called my lawyer yesterday evening when they left, and I left him a message.
And they know you got a lawyer. They should be talking to your lawyer.
Well, yeah. And I called both lawyers. I called my criminal lawyer, and then I called my lawyer on the other case.
Right.
And left them both a message. Of course, it was Friday evening, so nobody's called me back, but I told him that the sheriff was here, what he'd said, and asked him to call me and take care of it, because I want him removed from anything to do with me.
Absolutely. I think you
I
need
just
to
feel
pursue
like
that.
he intimidates me. He tries to intimidate me. He tries to harass me. And
Well, I do consider lying to you to be harassment.
yeah.
Lying to Tommy. Telling her he's going to take her to jail, she should file a complaint for harassment, because that's just plain out and out lying.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he told her. You can tell me the truth, or I can take you to jail.
It's hard to believe that one of our no, it's not hard to
No,
believe
it's not
that
hard
Chris
to
Cole would
believe.
be. Because Chris Cole is that type of person.
Yeah.
Now, what we're gathering here is sort of a chronologue of what Janice knows. The big question with David Janice is, what did you know and when did you know it? And we got a lot of people who are willing to testify in court that he knew about the problem
He
with
knew about
cotton.
Brad from the beginning. Too many people
Absolutely.
told him.
Why, it was a community news, you know. Everybody knew it.
Absolutely. I mean, it wasn't a secret of what Brad did.
And he didn't do anything about it. And you know, the thing that really gets me, he promoted him. He made him a lieutenant.
Yes. Yep.